Welcome back. All right, so this is my second attempt at the preview video. The first one was derailed by Cats Rabbits. So I decided maybe it was the jersey I was wearing. So I was originally wearing the reverse retro this year for Carolina instead of wearing the black one. So we have 10 games on Tuesday in the NHL, which is busy. 6 games starting at 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern, a half an hour later the next, a half an hour later, an hour later, and a half an hour later, meaning the last game starts at 6:30 Pacific. So it's not that bad, really, because as this one's getting started, some of this will be winding down. And so, yeah, it should be a fun night. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the Columbus Blue Jackets in against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Tampa Bay has won both meetings so far this year. Columbus has had a hard time. They're 12, 25, and 2 over their last 10. They're 2 and 8 away from home. They are a miserable 2, 13, and 1. They're 9 points behind Montreal for last place in the Eastern Conference. So they are really not that far out of last place overall. And the way that they've been going, I wouldn't be entirely surprised if they end up last place overall. Tampa Bay 24, 13, and 1. They're 6 and 4 in their last 10. They're at home now, which is going to be good for them because they're 500 on the road, but at home, 15, 4, and 1. So Columbus coming in, I could consider this a trap game, but it shouldn't happen. 8 points behind Toronto for Tampa Bay. They are 7 points clear of Buffalo, so they're pretty firmly entrenched in third place in the division. Also at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the Minnesota Wild and the New York Rangers. The Rangers won the first meeting that was in Minnesota. Now Minnesota's going to try to win an MSG. Minnesota 22, 14, and 3. Their last 10 games are 6, 3, and 1. Away from home, they are 10, 6, and 2. So good road record. They're 6 points behind Winnipeg. They're 3 points ahead of Nashville. They are coming off of a shutout loss, too, against St. Louis. They'll be looking to bounce back against a Rangers team that does have a goaltender capable of getting some shutouts. They're 22, 12, and 7 so far, the New York Rangers. 6, 2, and 2 in their last 10. They're 9, 7, and 4 at home. They're 1 point behind Washington. They're 5 points ahead of Pittsburgh, who are also tied with the Islanders, but Pittsburgh has the tiebreak with having played less games. So we'll see how things go for the Rangers. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, the New Jersey Devils in against Carolina. The Canes have won the first 2 meetings this year. I'm wearing Canes. I think they should be able to win the third because they need this win, right? They've struggled recently. They need the win. The next meeting, the final meeting between these teams will be March the 12th. So for New Jersey, they're 25, 12, and 3, but over their last 10, they're 4, 5, and 1. Away from home, they're 14, 2, and 1. They're 4 points behind Carolina. They're 1 point ahead of Washington. And they're 2 points ahead of the New York Rangers. So what I'm saying is if New Jersey wins this, well, that just makes the dogfight in the Metro all that much more interesting. Carolina first in the Metro. They're 25, 8, and 7. Their last 10, they're 7, 2, and 1. At home, they're 12, 4, and 1. So you have a very good road team, a very good home team. This should be and probably will be the most entertaining game of the night. They're 4 points clear of New Jersey, 5 points clear of Washington, and they're going to look to expand that lead over the Devils tomorrow. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start between Seattle and Buffalo. This is a team coming off of getting a shutout against a team that just got shut out tonight. For Seattle, they're 23, 12, and 4. Their last 10 games are 7, 2, and 1. They've won 5 in a row. Seattle's playing really well, so we'll see how things go in Buffalo. Away from home, they're 13, 4, and 2, and that's part of it. Seattle is excellent on the road. 4 points behind LA and 4 points ahead of Calgary, so LA gets the win tonight. And now Seattle will be looking to answer and get a little bit closer, and it's a game they have in hand on the LA Kings. For Buffalo, they're 20, 16, and 2. Their last 10 games, they are still 8 and 2 over their last 10. The loss against Philly hurts. Their home record does as well. They're 9, 9, and 2 at home, so they are having problems winning at home. They're 4 points back of Pittsburgh and the New York Islanders, and they're 2 points clear of Florida. So that should be a very entertaining matchup as well. Remember, Buffalo games are usually exciting. Tonight was kind of an exception against Philly. We'll see how things go against Seattle. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start between Vancouver and Pittsburgh. Vancouver won the first meeting. We'll see if Pittsburgh evens the series. I'm thinking they probably do. Pittsburgh needing to get some wins strung together. Vancouver, it's an Eastern swing. They're 17, 19, and 3. Last 10 games are 4 and 6. They're 9, 9, and 2 away from home. They're 8 points back of Edmonton, that last playoff spot. They are 5 points ahead of San Jose, so they're closer to the Sharks in the standings than they are to the playoffs. For Pittsburgh, they're 20, 13, and 6. Their last 10, they're 3, 5, and 2. At home, they're 10, 4, and 4. So they've won 10 out of 18, but they've only lost 4 of those in regulation. So it depends on whether you're a glass half empty or glass half full kind of fan. They're 5 points back of the Rangers. They are tied with the New York Islanders for that last wild card spot. If they lose and the Islanders win, of course, that changes everything right there. So Pittsburgh needs to get their own business done and beat the Canucks. Again, usually what takes the Canucks out of a playoff hunt at all is an East Coast swing. They're already 2 games below 500. The East Coast swing is here. We'll see how it goes. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. The team that beat Vancouver yesterday, the Winnipeg Jets, will be in against the Detroit Red Wings, the first of 2 meetings. They'll meet again on March the 31st in Winnipeg. Winnipeg is 26-13-1 on the season. The last 10 games are 6-4. They've won 5 in a row. So what's interesting is they lost 4 out of 5. Now they've won 5 in a row. This team is very streaky. Away from home, they're 10-7-1, which isn't bad, but it's not as good as their home record. They're 1 point back of Dallas. They're 6 points clear of Minnesota. On the Detroit front, they're 16-15-7. Their last 10 games, they are 3-6-1. At home, they are 9-8-3. They're 7 points back of Pittsburgh and the New York Islanders. They are tied with both Ottawa and Philadelphia. So, really, we've got a bit of a dogfight in the East, but some teams are falling out. Detroit looks like they've kind of fallen out, 7 points back. They need this one, so we'll see how it goes between them and the Winnipeg Jets. 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, so all 6 of these will get going, and then this one gets started, so this one will be on my computer. Dallas won the first meeting with the Islanders. That was in Dallas. We'll see how it goes with them now playing in New York. For Dallas, they are 24-11-6 overall. Let me just straighten that. Last 10 games, they're 6-3-1. Away from home, they're 12-7-3. So they've got a good road record. They're 1 point ahead of Winnipeg and 7 points ahead of Minnesota. So Dallas fans are cheering for Detroit and, of course, hoping for a win with the Islanders to get a little bit of breathing room at the top of the division. Jets fans will be hoping for the opposite. For the Islanders, they're 22-17-2. Their last 10 games are 5-4-1. At home, they're 12-6. So they're better at home than they are on the road. They're 5 points back of the Rangers. They are tied with Pittsburgh. They've played more games, so there's more pressure on them to get the wins going now. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, the Calgary Flames in against the St. Louis Blues. St. Louis won the first matchup. The third matchup will be January the 12th, also in St. Louis, I do believe. For Calgary, they're 19-14-8. So this is one of those interesting teams where they're 5 games above 500 by NHL standards, but in their 41 games, they've won 19 of them. They've lost 22. So it really depends on how you view them. 6-2-2 in their last 10. Away from home, they're 7-7-6. Again, they're 500, but they've won 7 out of 20 games. It's NHL's point system. They're 4 points back of Seattle. They're 1 point ahead of Edmonton. So for them, they were happy to see Edmonton lose tonight. Now they got to go out tomorrow and win in St. Louis. The Blues are 20-18-3. Last 10 games, they are 5-3-2. At home, they are 7-8-2. So St. Louis is having problems winning at home. They're 2 points back of Edmonton. They're tied with Colorado. They're 6 points clear of Vancouver. So for Vancouver, there's a lot of teams between them in the playoffs now, and St. Louis being one of them. So St. Louis looking for a win to get a little bit closer. They likely were happy to see the Oilers lose tonight, and now they'll be looking to get a win tomorrow and pull even. 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific start between San Jose and Arizona. So at the time this starts, there'll be 9 games on. Because of the fact that both of these teams are out of the playoffs, so this is kind of a behind-the-scenes kind of look at it. When we get this far into the season where there's going to be games between teams that aren't in the playoffs, when we get this many games on at once, I prioritize the games that are between 2 top teams, maybe a game that's really close or really exciting, and then the games that won't get as much interest from me are going to be between teams that are out of the race, and that would be San Jose and Arizona. So San Jose won the first meeting. The third and final meeting will be April the 1st. Because I do get asked, like, how do you track everything? I have to prioritize which games. I have to make sure I'm paying attention to all of it. And, it can get kind of hairy at times. So for San Jose, they're 12-21-8. Their last 10 games are 2-5-3, so they need to improve that. Away from home, they're 8-10-2. There really isn't a really positive number for them, including the fact they are 13 points out of the playoffs. Arizona's 13-21-5. Over their last 10, they're 3-6-1. At home, they're 7-4-2. So they've won 7 out of 13 home games, and they're 14 points back of Edmonton. So neither of these teams are in the running. Both of them are going to be sellers at the deadline. And again, we'll see what Chychrun's worth at the deadline, won't we? And then at 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, the Florida Panthers and the Colorado Avalanche get started. So at least one of these games should be over or close to over by that point, and I can then devote a lot of attention to this. It will be the only game on for a short while. This is the first of 2 meetings. They'll meet again in February, on February 11th in Florida. Florida's 18, 19, and 4. They're running out of time here. And I know it's halfway through the season. I know how crazy that sounds. But they're 4-6 in their last 10. Their road record's terrible. They're 8, 13, and 1 on the road. They're 6 points back of Pittsburgh and the Islanders. So if Pittsburgh wins this and they lose, they're then 8 points back. It just does not get better. And Pittsburgh has games in hand on Florida. They're 2 points back of Buffalo. They're 1 point ahead of Detroit, Ottawa, and Philadelphia. As the Flyers are now, at least in that mix, that mediocre mix in the East. For Colorado, they're 20, 15, and 3. Their last 10 games are 5, 4, and 1. At home, they're 9, 7, and 3. Colorado's really got to get things running here. They're 2 points behind Edmonton, 1 point behind Nashville, and they're tied with St. Louis. So Nashville has pulled themselves right back into it, and Colorado needs to jump them and tie the Edmonton Oilers tomorrow. Again, they were one of the teams that would have been happy to have seen the Oilers lose tonight. The race in the West is going to be a lot of fun. Not that the race in the East won't be, but I think the race in the West is going to be 3 or 4 teams all fighting for one spot. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always. It is always more fun with the previews as we get deeper into the season and we start seeing these standings and how important these games are in the standings, even though it's only January. So don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.